You got to draw the new thumbnail
I will.
before this comes out. You got to draw it quick
Ah,
because I want
does
to
that
put
mean
this up
I
soon.
have to do tonight? Wait,
I mean,
sorry.
if you could, but you have to wake up early tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, um, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Melodies and Masterpieces podcast, the only podcast by creatives for creatives, featuring your two lovely uncles, Omar and Laurel. Um, it's
I
been a
want to
little
be a
bit of
grandpa.
time.
Can I be a grandpa instead of an uncle?
We're uncles. Um, so it's been a bit of time since our last episode, and there's a good reason for that. There's been a lot of shenanigans going on, and this episode's going to be talking about that for a little bit. So, um, Laurel got a promotion at her job. Laurel, why don't you tell us about that?
I got a promotion.
Yeah, it's your law firm.
I'm at a law firm. Sorry, what?
Laurel, yes, and we both took that improv class, and you're not even using the techniques
I
that we
didn't
were
know we
taught.
were doing improv.
Anyway, if you're looking at the screen, please stop crying. You're being distracting. Um, if you're looking at the screen, I don't know how it works for Spotify yet, but
It's the cover
uh,
photo.
yeah, I'm looking a little different right now. You'll notice you can actually see my little avatar's face because I decided to cut all my hair off.
He's bald.
I'm not bald. I wanted to get a buzz cut because I've been on a long journey with my hair, and I just decided it was time to end it. For now, I first started growing out my hair. I actually really like talking about hair with people because it's the one part of you that just keeps changing and growing no matter how old you get, unless you lose it all. But even then, there's always like those old guys who have the sides and back of their hair that they grow really long. Um, but for me, uh, I had a buzz cut when I was a kid. I wasn't a bowl cut kid. I was a buzz cut kid. And then I had a faux hawk for a bit. And then I had like an undercut man bun in high school where just the top of my head was long and the sides and back were shaved. That was a moment. Then I decided to grow it all out. So from like junior year of high school up until a couple weeks ago, I was known for having like long curly hair. And I had cut it a few times. This last time I had long hair was my third time growing it all out. And I always said to Laurel that like I'm so jealous of people who have buzz cuts because you get to just wake up and your hair is just good to go. You don't have to fuss around with hair ties or brushing your hair or anything. You just get up and go. So, I just hit the mic. So that's why I decided to do it. And I don't know if I'm going to grow it all out again. I might stay bald for a while, but I don't know. What do you think of it?
I think it looks pretty cool. At first, I was very, very opposed because I thought your long hair was pretty cool, but now I'm not against it. And you actually look good with your buzz cut, so thumbs up from me.
What's your hair journey, Laurel? What was your evolution?
Okay, so for the longest time, my mom controlled my hair. When I was little, I had bangs, a face frame, and layers. That was what my mom would tell them. My mom would tell the hairdresser, like, face frame and layers, which basically translated into me having bangs and having all these layers, and I was always shoulder length. I want to say sixth grade, I actually started growing my hair out. And then I was growing my hair out again. And then freshman year of high school, I dyed my hair red.
That
Was
was
it fr-
like that was like your big that was
that
your
was
big thing for a
that
while
was
was the
my
red hair.
identity for the longest time. Freshman year, I dyed my hair red and shaved the side of my head.
Yeah, you had the
So
side cut.
I was known as the girl that had the bright red hair and the shaved side of her head. And I kept that hair for all 4 years of high school. I went back and forth giving it like occasional little trims here and there. I kept that hairstyle for 4 years. It was the bright red hair and shaved side of my head. And then right after I had graduated high school, I chopped all of my hair off. So then I got a shag and I dyed it black and white. I had it was all this like blonde whitish hair under, and it was all black on top. So then I dyed all of my hair black, and I've been growing it out and keeping it black ever since.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, I never colored my hair because I was always told that if I color my hair, it's going to ruin my curls, so I just never did. But keeping up with what we've been up to, I know I was talking about the musical I was in for a while, which was Rent with the Round Table Theater Company. And I just like to give an update on that. Well, first of all, how about Laurel? You saw it, I think, like our second night. Why don't you tell me your review, your professional opinion?
I saw it twice.
Oh yeah, you saw it
Um,
twice.
yeah, I thought it was amazing. I love the musical Rent. The music is amazing, and it's just one of those staples in musical theater, in my opinion, at least. And it was amazing. Everyone performed amazing. The vocal talent is just like so there. And it was great seeing you perform because I know that's something that you like to do. It also made me like jealous throughout your entire time being in it. I was super super jealous because I love being in theater environments and I love acting. But it
You
also
could you could
seeing
still do it if you want.
I know, but I'm busy and that theater company is an hour away from where I live. Anyways, yeah, everyone was so amazing and being able to see you perform and see you be like so excited and happy was just really great. I thought it was great.
It was pretty great. It was a really fun time to be a part of it, and made lots of cool friends there. And we got more plans coming in the year. So if anything more happens with that, our listeners will be the first to hear about it, and they'll get behind the scenes details probably if my director says it's okay. But when I was finishing up with that, I oh by the way, a long time ago I talked about my opera audition. I never updated it. It went good. We're doing Dialogues of the Carmelites in French. I play the jailer, which means I get to sing a pretty interesting aria at the end of the third act, or middle of the third act, I think. If you don't know what Dialogues of the Carmelites is, it's an opera in the time period of the French Revolution in France about nuns, uh, to my understanding, just being persecuted because of their accused affiliation of being against the revolution and all of the consequences that come with that. So that's very cool. Things don't really start to pick up with opera until we really all start coming together as a cast. Right now, we're still in the stage of having everybody get their parts memorized and everybody who is in duets or trios working together. My scene is just like a 2 minute in and out thing, so it's pretty cool. I get to just sit backstage and enjoy the show. But for Rent, I got to play like 10 different roles and be on stage for a long amount of time. And there's parts where it was exhausting, but it was really rewarding getting to be on stage with such talented people for a long time. But I wanted to talk about, because I was searching through my room, I was cleaning up a bit, and I found some old pictures from musicals that we were in back in school, and I just wanted to take some time to talk about like school environments in the arts from a student perspective, because we've been talking about teaching for a while, and we'll still dive on that a lot. But I was particularly looking at pictures from when we were in Les Mis, and I thought it was pretty cool, and I wanted to just talk about the shows that we were in. We'll start chronologically. We'll start with Seussical, because that was your freshman year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So who were you in Seussical?
I was a who. That
Yeah.
means the ensemble. That's like the little who characters, not the jungle
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah. So the ensemble, the way how we did it for Seussical, I've only been in that show once. It was my sophomore year, Laurel's freshman year, because we were a year apart. The show was split into two ensembles, either the Jungle of Newell or the Who's in Whoville. Laurel was a Who, I was a Jungle person,
We did not know each
and
other at this point.
we didn't know. We were just two people who happened to be in the same show. Um, I enjoyed Seussical. A lot of people talk bad about it, saying that it's like, oh, it's a kids show, it's boring. I think it's awesome. I think the
They
music
talk
is
bad
great.
about it, but then they turn around and like Shrek is the best thing on the planet.
Oh my gosh, I've had it up to my ears in Shrek. Like, it's good, it's funny, it's entertaining, but I just feel like Seussical gives so much. It gives so much more life, in my opinion. Like, Shrek is a story we all know, right? It's a great movie, and as a stage adaptation, the writers did a great job. The music is awesome. It's just like the fan base for Shrek gets so just, ugh. It just, I just, ugh. Our next show, well, actually, So for Seussical, what I thought was cool is that there's just so many different types of sounds you hear. Like there's so much different types of music, so many different types of music. And from what I've researched, the reason why it didn't really get super popular in its heyday was a lot of like paperwork issues and legal things that just went wrong, which is a shame, but that doesn't take away from how good the music is.
Yeah, it's really good. I liked it a lot. It's like has a special place in my heart mainly because like it was my freshman year show and I was like, wow, this is so much better from the show that I did the year before in middle school, which was a dumpster fire to say the least.
What show was that?
Aladdin.
Aladdin. How was that bad?
It's just the environment that I was in. We'll get into like theater environments and theater drama, but it was just a really bad environment.
If we don't get into that this episode, we'll definitely talk about like environments and stuff in another time.
Theater environment.
Yeah, it can get pretty bad if you're not surrounded by people who are all dedicated to the project. My freshman year show, before Laurel was even in the same high school as me, we did the Adams Family. That was my first like big show because middle school we only did junior shows, but the first full show we did was the Adams Family. I was an ensemble member, which in my opinion that's like one of the most fun. That and Seussical are like some of the most fun ensemble shows, just because even if you're an ensemble member in those shows, you have a lot to do and there's a lot of potential in your character. And I just loved being in the Adams Family.
I have no comment because I was in 8th grade and I saw that show every single night that it went.
It was a good time. After Seussical was Les Mis, and that's
Well,
where I saw.
well, Crucible.
Oh yeah, yeah. The play that year was Crucible, and that's when we really met and uh, like first, yeah, just first met and knew each other. The Crucible was awesome, and yeah, the Crucible was very cool.
A lot of people, whenever I bring up Crucible, they're like, "Oh, that's such a sad thing." But I look back on that like play with like such fondness, just because it was my first play and not a musical, and I got a decent role as like a sophomore in high school, and that's why I lost a lot of my friends at that point. Because I got a role in it. More drama. Theater causes so much drama. Um, no, but I loved being in that show. That show was so fun.
Yeah, because a a lot of high school shows, high schools for their plays, from what I've seen, they focus a lot on like melodrama slash comedy shows, like shows that can still make you laugh but have a compelling story, which isn't bad. But I feel like if you have a really talented group of kids, which a lot of the seniors that year were very good at acting, you should do a show that challenges your students. And being in it was a challenge for me because I've only had like comedic acting roles previous to that. And it was it was really cool. I played Judge Hathorne and you played Mary Warren.
Yep, I played the little
So
girl.
we both had some pretty dramatic roles and parts to scream and yell on stage.
I
And it
had
was
to
really fun.
cry 11 times in that show.
Yep.
All Mary Warren did was cry.
Yeah, she's kind of a baby.
Hey, don't talk bad about her. That was me.
She is, though.
Well, I mean, like, yeah,
Um,
but I digress.
the plays I thought were I kind of miss being in like just plays. I haven't done a play in a while. I've done like monologues for, yeah, like I've done monologues for classes and those are very fun, but like a show that's just acting, I haven't done it in a long time. Um, but yeah, after The Crucible was Les Mis, which I think was my favorite musical I've done in high school. And that's actually when I was just like digging through my drawers in my room, cleaning stuff up. I found these two printed photos of me and my friend. I was a student in the revolution. I was combeferre in the revolution of students. And what were you?
I was just a girl. I was one of the lovely ladies.
Yeah, you were in Lovely Ladies.
I had sorry. I had I had my hair was super super long at that point. So I always backcombed it, so I had this big puff of hair. And I always smeared lipstick all over my face because I was like, I'm supposed to be a hooker.
I thought that show was just so cool, just because I've only heard about Les Mis from family and friends saying like, "Oh, it's this amazing show," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever." And then I finally heard it. I remember listening to the 10th anniversary concert and just being so blown away by the music. And I feel like nobody talks about this show now. Like everything on Broadway is all about the modern stuff, or the more like the only greats people are talking about are like Sondheim stuff, which Sondheim's great. I love Sondheim, but like I want to see another Les Mis happen. I feel like we haven't seen one in a while. At least a concert I would like to see, but I mean a full stage production would really be just amazing right now. Um, the pictures I have, one of them's actually got a pretty funny story behind it. For those of you who know Les Mis, the scene ABC Cafe, also the scene where the song Red and Black happens. There's a scene where one of the drunk students gets up on the table and starts mocking Marius by saying Red and Black, while he talks about how he's in love with Cosette. Yeah? Yeah. Uh, and that day, the kid who played that drunk student wasn't there. So my director was like, "Hey, can you just play his part?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I got it." And that was the day the photographer was there. So the pictures that were taken was like me standing on the table holding the flag, and I was like owning it. And I thought it was awesome. And the other picture is from Do You Hear the People Sing? And it's just all of us like with our hands in the air and the flag in the background. It's pretty dope. My dream role is from that show. I mean, if another opportunity to be in that show came up, I would either want to be Valjean or Javert. I mean, I'm not a tenor, so Valjean might be a stretch, but Javert, I would love to just play the heck out of that role. The next show we did after that was Fiddler on the Roof, and that was my senior show, and that was your junior show, right?
That was my junior show, yeah. I actually got a role in that one, but before that we did Clue,
Oh yeah, Clue.
the stage production of the board game Clue, which was
That was
the
an
best play that
awesome
they
show.
ever put on there.
That was an awesome show. I didn't even know. I know very little about like just plays, but Clue was a really fun time. I played Professor Plum.
I played Miss Scarlet.
Yeah, it was.
I
It's
was
just such a wacky, funny show.
I was
It was
hacked.
such like a. It was staged as like a whodunit murder mystery. Like there was other characters who'd pop on and off stage, and we had like fake dead bodies that we'd like knock the head off of or something. There was a scene where we're like running around the house, like tossing a dead body to each other and like screaming at each other. And then at the end, when the murders are being revealed, it's like it was Professor Plum in the study with the lead pipe, and then the organ would go like dun dun dun. It was a really funny show. I keep all the scripts from those shows on my bookshelf, and I flip through them from time to time.
Me too. Mine are all destroyed though. All of my scripts are like so heavily ripped apart because the way that I would study is that I would just like tear into the script so much.
Yeah, me too. I mean that's how you know you used it though. I mean if it's not tattered, that means you didn't work,
Like the
or it was
spine of the
given to
book.
you
The
late.
spine of the book is basically gone. There's highlighting. There's notes all in them. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really fun show. You have the DVD for that, right?
I do.
We should rewatch it one day.
I still remember because I rewatch it fairly often because it's like one of my favorite things ever that I've done. I rewatch it every once in a while, and I say my character was a interesting character to say the least. She owned a brothel, and that was one of her big character things, is that she was the woman that wasn't afraid to say what was on her mind, to say the least. And I made a dirty joke in the show, and that's kind of what my character would do because that was her whole personality. And there, in the recording of it, you can hear people in the audience just go like, "Ew, ew,"
Yeah.
and I
Yeah, it was.
I pride myself on that one. I'm so proud.
I also remember there's a scene where everybody's running around grabbing each other's evidence and stuff, and it's set to music, and it's like perfectly set to music where everybody has to start and end at the same time. Like there was doors on stage. Our set was basically there was the staircase leading to the main door, and then there was a bunch of other doors that would turn and move, uh, and they were each colored like one of the main characters. And then you flipped it to the other side, and one would be the kitchen, and then there was the study. And there was a scene where everybody's running through doors, running off stage, running backstage, set to this music track that's probably like 2 minutes long. And everybody had to be back on stage right when the music ended, and it had to be timed out perfectly. And then when we finally got it down, it was so satisfying.
Oh, it felt so good. I was oof.
Yeah, it was. It's just it was awesome. A great show.
One of the
But
best shows.
Fiddler is a show that I think again, like people don't really talk about it that much anymore. I guess because everybody knows its legacy, but I know it's
No,
still being performed a lot.
I have something to say real fast. I mentioned that to someone. I forget who I mentioned it to, and they were like, "Not that show," and I was like, "Don't say that. Don't hate on Fiddler on the Roof."
It's a great show. It's a really great show. Um, I really like the storytelling of it. I like how it doesn't just revolve around a main character, it revolves around an entire community. And I always like shows like that. I don't like shows that are just the one man or the one woman story of them and, you know, how they feel and how their feelings are affected. It's a show about tradition and about community and about change.
And about family.
Um, yeah, about family. It's like Fast and the Furious. Not, I mean, Fast and Furious, not Fast and the Furious. I never watched the
Who,
movies, so
who did you play? Who did you play in
I
Fiddler on the
played
Roof?
I played Perchik. He was the revolutionary guy who was really the main spur for people in Anatevka thinking differently. Who'd you play?
I played Yenta. I played the matchmaker of the little town of the community. I was
Yeah,
the silly old lady.
I remember your Yenta used to put on the old lady makeup every day and freak people out.
I would, and it was really funny because all the other girls would try to look like super cute on stage. They would wear like their little like I don't know, like little what's the word? What's the word?
The headscarf?
Headscarf. That's it. They would wear their headscarves like all cutesy, and they would put like flowers behind their ears and everything. And I was just a little babushka. I was a little old lady. I had crooked glasses. I walked around with a cane and a carpet bag, and I had these wrinkles drawn onto me, like based off of my natural wrinkles in my face, but just emphasized. And I tied it so, like, it was just around my chin, so it was just like a little peak of my hair at the top, and the rest was covered. And I was like, I look like a little old lady. And I remember a guy after one of the the performances was like, "How old are you?" And I was like, at the time I was what, 16? Yeah,
Yeah.
I was 16, and I remember him being like, "You look like such a little old lady up there." And I remember looking at pictures of little Yenta me, and I was like, I look exactly like my grandma. Rest in peace, Lois.
I I got to be one of the bottle dancers during the wedding scene. That was awesome.
That
I don't
was
know
intense.
why. I don't know why our high school always picked me as one of the featured male dancers because like there was not really male dancers at our school. There was maybe two, but they were never in the musical. They just kind of picked the guys that were athletic and did okay during the dance
Physically
auditions.
able. Physically able.
Yeah, there was like 6 or 7 of us who just like consistently got picked for dancing roles. We were like, all right, sure, whatever, and we did the bottle dance. And that here's the thing. We had hats and we had a piece of Velcro that would attach the bottle to the hat, but that barely kept the bottle on. Like, at least my hat didn't. I think everybody else's hat, no, like one guy's hat had a really strong Velcro where if you would try to take the bottle off the hat would come off with the bottle attached. But everybody else's Velcro was like so weak that you genuinely, like, you had to balance it or else it would go crooked. And it was like you had to get on, you had to slide around on your knees, you had to jump in a circle, you had to, like, all this crazy stuff.
I think the funniest part of that show was there was a good handful of guys that wore fake beards.
Oh my gosh, the fake beards were horrendous. Like they
With
just
like with the spear gun. This was a spearman
yeah,
gun? Spear
I don't know what it
spear.
was called. The beard gum, whatever.
It was
It's a
like
glue
face
that
glue. It was the fancy face glue.
Yeah, it's face glue that you use to attach like hair or whatever prosthetics you're using. And so many guys, the problem is like they're high schoolers, so like some of them are already starting to grow facial hair. So like the growing in facial hair is like pushing off the actual beard. And by the end, everybody's like so sweaty by the end of it that half the beard's falling off their head. I'm glad I didn't have to wear one. But that was my senior show. One thing that I just think is so upsetting for guys in musical theater is just like our costumes are never as cool as the women's costumes.
Hey, I don't know what you're complaining about. My costume for Fiddler on the Roof was a black skirt and a white and black top.
No, but you got to have the head scarf. You got to have the little drape around your shoulders. You got to have the cane and the bag.
Well,
Like
I
every
demanded the cane. If it weren't for the fact that I demanded that I walk around with a cane, I probably wouldn't have gotten a cane because when I first went to first blocking rehearsals, they're like, "All right, just walk," and I was like, "I need a cane," and they were like, "All right, get a cane."
but like Adam's family, I just wore a suit. Susical, I wore a t-shirt with like some rips in it and a pair of gym shorts. For Les Mis, it was pretty cool because Les Mis, um, I got to wear like a nice vest and a button-up shirt, some high. They were pants that like ended right below my knees. It was weird, and some like high white socks. Like that was pretty cool.
You
And
had
then
like what? A cute hat? You had a
for Les
silly...
Mis, no.
No, I'm talking about for Fiddler on the Roof. You had a silly little hat.
Yeah, for Fiddler, I literally just had a button-up shirt, dress pants, and a hat. Like, come on, like that's pretty lame. Like
It
I
was
get
all
it.
brown.
Yeah, it was all
Brown.
brown and green and like earthy tones. And I listen, I understand. Like, I'm not gonna give Perchik a jetpack and a cane and you know like a Mercedes Benz and all
I don't
that
know.
stuff. It's just
Gold chain. Give him a chain.
yeah, give him a chain. He's gonna look awesome. Costumes were always kind of disappointing, at least from my perspective. I don't know if there was a show that I got to wear like a really awesome costume. Let me think. I mean, in Rent, I got to dress like I was in the city, and that was pretty cool. Like
Urban.
I got to dress urban comfortably, and it's fun to like wear costumes that fit the time. But I don't know. That's always been like a thing with me that I never got to dress up in these cool things that the ladies got to dress up in.
I didn't get anything fancy. I don't know what you're complaining about.
More fancy than me. That's the point.
Well, for my senior show, we did A Christmas Carol for my fall play. Breaking news, we did it in the times of COVID. So it was a quote unquote radio show. So we would put on this like little radio show. And so we built a set that was like a recording studio. And we were all dressed up like we were from the 40s. And we recorded it and made our own sound effects on stage. We had a quote unquote like sound effects table where we did all that kind of stuff. Our intermission for the show was literally us being like, "All right, we're gonna take our 15." It was a really weird show, but I got to keep the costume. But I can't fit in it now because I don't look like how I did in high school.
Neither do I.
Well, and then my musical show was Godspell, which was an interesting show. It's a very interesting show. It's just basically a little bit of a retelling from the Bible. Not much to write home about that. We had to wear masks during both of those shows. It was kind of annoying.
You know, that's the thing. When I was in Rent, the theater we had, which was a great theater, only had two dressing rooms, one for the guys, one for the girls, and they weren't huge. And we didn't even have a big cast either. There was maybe like 12, 13 of us. And we just, and like the leads would ever come in, they were always just drenched, and they always had to put on like their spare undershirt, put on a new coat of deodorant in intermission. But I mean, listen, it's not a good musical unless everybody on stage is like drenched by the end of the opening number.
That was me in Godspell. I was always worried that like I was just gonna be covered in sweat stains, especially during my
Hmm.
solo. Because my solo was towards the end of the show. But thankfully, I didn't have to do a lot of physical activity. I kind of just walked around and sounded sad.
All right, so we're heading into the final stretch of this episode right now. So I figure we'll take the time to talk about just some theater highlights and lowlights from school and community. Just like a thing that, like a few good experiences and a few bad ones. I'll start it off. For good, I mean, this entire production of Rent was really great. I mean, it was the first community show I ever really did, and I was kind of scared because I didn't know anybody going in other than the music director who I go to school with. But other than that, it was just brand new people. And previously, and this was like the bad stuff, just, in school, it's a popularity contest. If you're not a lead, there was a whole thing where, like, if you're not a lead, the other students were just kind of like, oh, like, you're a junior or senior, you don't have a lead, you must be really bad. And then they just kind of don't like you because of that. High schoolers are, like, weirdly competitive over theater, as if, like, their life depends on it. And I get it, because when you're in high school, it feels like that's all that life is, and if you lose there, you lose, period. But just like, geez, man, like, these kids would rip each other in half if it meant getting to sing the big belty solo in the musical. It gets vicious out there. It's bad. But I always love big ensemble numbers, just because it doesn't matter how good you are, how amazing you are at your solo lessons, how much you've been doing your summer intensives of dance and acting. Guess what? You're singing the same song in the same range at the same level as, Timothy the first year, who was too shy to audition for a lead, so he's now in the ensemble in the back row. And that was me at one point, and it was everybody at some point. And those are the memories that I look back on with just a lot of sparkle. Also, my first opera, I don't really think there was a bad moment there. I was really like, oh, I hate it. It was just a lot more work than I'm used to, but it was also just a really great time doing it. It was Gianni Schicchi by Puccini, and it was just a really great time. What about you?
The highlights I look back on is just like the overall like reward of getting the show, like putting on a full show for an audience. I've always been an overachiever in the fact that I like hearing from people that they liked it. Like, whenever I would perform and someone would recognize me from the show and say, you did so good, I was like, yeah, because I just worked my butt off trying to get this show together. I should be congratulated. That just might be a me thing, though. So that's like a big highlight for me. It's just like the rewarding payoff of like opening night, putting on the show, the crowd going absolutely wild after the first number, or like one of the big numbers where, you're right on the front of the stage and you can see into like the sea of audience members just like cheering for you, or like the audience going absolutely insane at the last number. It's the closing night, you're crying, all that kind of stuff. That's something I really look back on and I'm like, oh, that's what I miss in theater. The one thing I don't miss is drama. The endless amount of drama, because especially in high school, I don't know about, modern, like, older theater. I don't know about, community stuff like that, because I'm just not in it. But back in high school, there was just tons and tons and tons and tons of drama that was really like, pointless at the end of the day. There was drama inside of the theater group and outside of it too. Like I mentioned before, I lost all of my friends because I got a role and they didn't at one point. And that's luckily enough, that's how I met Omar. So if it weren't for the fact that all my friends left me, this podcast wouldn't exist, guys.
I guess so. Or it would be with somebody who I just pulled off the street and doesn't know anything about what I would be talking about. So
Talking to strangers?
What? Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably be one of those TikTok street interviewers that'd be like, prove that women are funny by making me laugh for $100.
The worst. Sorry.
That would have been some good content. Those videos are stupid. I hate them. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Melodies and Masterpieces podcast, the only podcast by creatives for creatives. Here's to a potentially more consistent schedule after this. Again, we started this when school was first starting up again. We're back in school now, so things are a bit more complicated, but you know, we started this. We should do our best to stay more consistent. You can also expect new thumbnails for the YouTube viewers, or maybe the Spotify viewers as well. Again, I don't know, maybe from Laurel, because she's going to be drawing a bit more. She's getting her fire backlit. She's getting her spark back for drawing digital stuff. So that's something to
My
look forward
sparkle.
to. Your sparkle.
My
So thank you for
sparkle.
listening, ladies and gentlemen. Eat food, drink water, and have a good night.
Bye bye.